All right, how are we doing, Mr. Kirk? Yeah, hi. This is I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm gonna be like a debate king here. You know, you have 10 years of experience on me, and I had a quick question though about on abortion, if that's okay with you. Right. So I think when we talk about abortion, I think we really get into this idea of like when we should assign personhood, right? So you clearly believe that life begins at conception, and I think it would be better if we shift that metric to a more based on sentience. And I believe that and the question I have for you is that since you believe that life begins at birth, let's say we have a person that's grown to old age and they have died and they have absolutely showing no brain activity at all. Would you believe that shooting that person, that dead person, is the equivalent of like a human life?
Yeah, I mean, it is a human life, but those are two totally separate things. One is no more, and the other one's not yet.
Right.
So not yet is different than no more. If someone's at the end of their life and there's nothing more we can do to continue their life, that is a different moral conversation than someone that has not yet been completely grown as a human as you and I. Two totally different moral circumstances, so you can't conflate the two.
Right. But I think they both have the same problem where it's about the presence of consciousness, right? Then
no, it's not a problem. One, the consciousness will come. One will not. That's
right.
So they're two separate things. One has potentiality.
Yeah.
One does not. So you can't conflate the two
right,
together.
But okay, let's say let me use a different analogy then. Let's say I have a blueprint to a building, right? And I have the materials for the building, and you destroy those materials. The materials of the building isn't the building in itself. Can we both agree that there's a difference between those two?
Is the building building itself in real time, and it's currently being constructed, and it's going up?
No,
up,
but
up?
it still doesn't really matter because they're still adding value to the fact that we're creating the
Bad
building.
analogy.
Right?
A blueprint.
How's
because the blueprint not itself is not the building.
Right, exactly.
No,
so
I'm
if
saying,
you were to
a human being's DNA is not
we
just
agree
the
on that though.
No,
that
no,
the
it's
blueprint
not.
is not the building, so there's probably different moral qualifications.
No,
right?
they're not. I'm saying though that the baby is the building. So you're incorrect.
Okay, so
the building is following the blueprint.
So when you're looking at like I don't know, like a fertilized egg, you're telling me a picture of this fertilized egg is the equivalent of a human life
yes.
right now. No,
yes.
The exact
What's
same
the
thing.
difference?
The different stage of development.
No. So why should stage of development give you more rights?
Well, I mean, okay, you're acting like this is not something this is done in society. Like, for example, we do judge based on different stages of development, like in cognitive capabilities, right? I'm not letting a fetus drive a car. A fetus can't drive.
No, right to life.
Alcohol and whatnot.
Apply the right to life to your stage of development.
This is a little bit different. So I guess a different question I would have to ask you is why is your I'm assuming your two qualifications here are the fact that it can create, it's a unique cellular organism, right, that has the potential to life,
and it's
right?
human, which
and
is inherently has dignity.
So I guess then this brings on a question, because I know there's another scenario where this occurs, right, where fertilization of an egg occurs, and they're on track to development, correct? And this other example that I'll think of is like animals, right? I think why do we not give the same moral consideration to animals as we are to zygotes in this situation?
Because animals aren't human beings.
Okay, but why is human beings?
Human beings have a soul, and animals do not.
Have a soul. So this is my point,
no,
guys.
Soul is not just consciousness.
Is a conscious experience.
No, it's
you are
Let me prove it to
engaging
you.
in
Wrong.
This is dishonest. This is dishonest, though.
Let me prove it to you. When someone is quote unquote brain
Okay.
dead, do you know that they still respond if someone stabs them? Their norepinephrine goes up. Do you know that a woman still menstruates if she's brain dead? So consciousness is not human worth. There's something else going on beyond consciousness that exists in a being that is the soul.
Okay, so now we're getting into a conversation of what the difference between a soul and a consciousness is. And
No, they're totally different. The soul is the something beyond. Consciousness is your narration to yourself,
Okay.
your ability to reason. There's something above reason. All of us know what that is when it kicks in. You ever hear the expression, words can't describe, I am speechless? You know why? Speech is reason. When you see a sunset that takes your breath away, when you see a newborn life that is born, you don't even have the words to express it because it transcends your reason.
I agree with that.
That is your soul.
So I mean, that's a good point. Like when we give, what you just labeled there is like when a child is given born, when they're born, we give such moral significance to that, not the fact that they got infertilized by an egg. I don't want to celebrate. I want to sort of I'd rather celebrate my birthday rather than the day my parents had sex. That's kind of a little weird situation. You know what I mean? Like if life begins at conception.
Well, it's called your birthday for a reason.
Right,
But you were a living being, not.
It seems that society
you
kind
were
of
9 months prior.
gravitates to this idea of an actual human being existing that gives moral value, right?
One is your entrance to the world. The other one is the actual creation of your being. Two different things. Your birthday is when you entered the world.
Right.
For example, your birthday could be at 28 weeks, not 36 weeks. So everybody has a different day when you exit the womb, but it's not when your worth begins. That's not when your value begins. That's simply simply when you exit the womb.
Right. So I have a good question. I really want to get back to this idea of like you give more moral value to the level of the fact that like that humans that are developed have a soul in comparison to like a zygote that, or actually no, animals
or a
animals,
coyote.
Okay, so is that not the same comparison to like a zygote to a developed human being in the sense that we are a higher functioning conscious being in comparison to like this other thing that we can just actively kill whenever we want?
Doesn't matter. I mean, can you actively kill a 1-year-old? Doesn't have as much acuity as you do or consciousness.
Right. Yeah, but like I mean, that's not the,
can you kill a 1-year-old?
That's the same thing because like this is
Of
going
course
back
the same
to my
thing.
like
What's the
idea
difference
of
in a
sentience,
1-year-old
right?
and a 1-day-old zygote? What's the moral difference?
The level of consciousness.
Oh,
right?
so one's bigger. One's more developed. One's older. The consciousness is completely irrelevant.
Sure.
Because just you know that a 1-day-old out of the womb doesn't have a lot of consciousness at all.
Okay, sure.
It
that's
can't
fine.
speak. It can't really. It's kind of like disembobulated.
But
you don't get less rights for that.
I agree. I mean, like, well, to a certain degree, I agree with that. But like, there is a meaningful difference between a fertilized egg and a conscious human being. One is less conscious than the other.
Oh no, one has more skills. But like, what's the innate moral difference? And prove it to me.
Because it seems like we do restrict rights, and we do actually change rights based on development and consciousness.
No, about life. So like a 4-year-old.
Right.
What is the innate moral difference of a 4-year-old and a zygote?
One is more conscious.
Okay, got it. So I think that's irrelevant. I think they're both human beings deserving of protection. Consciousness alone is not a marker of dignity.
Okay, but so then what is your marker of dignity? Is
being a human being.
Being a human being. So is your argument a little bit circular though? There, it's just like just because we deserve rights because we're a human being.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's self-evident. We are human beings with a soul, therefore we have rights.
So we deserve rights because we're human beings because we're human beings. So like, how am I supposed to win against this argument here?
You can't.
See. Okay, yeah, exactly. So
it's called a self-evident truth. It's called self-evident. So that's why the pro-life position is irrefutable. Because you have to posit human beings have rights.
And is not a kind of a concern that like we base all our entire ideology on this one illogical circle that.
No, it's not illogical. It's incredibly logical.
Right. So like,
we are human beings, and we believe that they matter.
Like, if you were to remove this circle here, then you would have to actually be pro-life in the sense to be pro-life to all life.
Oh, we are.
Right. So pro-life to animals.
But we don't believe human beings are.
I'm not like a vegan or anything. I'm not vegetarian.
But human beings are not the moral same as a bird. It's not the same thing. For multiple reasons. Because a human being has characteristics and qualities, and most importantly, we believe as Christians, human beings have a soul that a bird does not have.
Okay, so characteristics and qualities.
And let me interrupt one more. The West, whether you agree or not, sorry to interrupt, we believe the human being is the only thing made in the image of the Creator. Imago Dei.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk about what's happening in Israel right now. Hostages being released, terrorists resurfacing, Gaza plans, and so on. But there's one thing we tend to overlook. The people of Israel. The war has taken a huge physical and emotional toll on the Jewish people. And that's why I want you to know about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. And I want you to support the important work they do. IFCJ is on the ground throughout Israel, providing food and life-saving aid to the sick and elderly, even released hostages and their families. Join with me and visit ifcj.org/learn more.
Okay, so when you say characteristics and qualities, what does that mean to me?
Well, first of all, not just the ability to reason, but also the ability to sympathize, empathize, feel, predict, plan, conjecture, have mercy, forgiveness, to be able to be introspective.
I love that. I love that about us human beings.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm not being sarcastic.
No, but we human beings are exceptional, actually. I mean, versus the beasts of the wild, of which we should appreciate and adore. But again, more beyond that, we come after this from a soft religious view, because you don't have to be Christian to believe this, that the human being has innate, inerrant, embedded, let's just say, dignity that a fox does not.
Right. Yeah. So what you just did there is kind of like my argument here. You're saying that like because we are human, we are more developed, we have higher cognitive reasoning, we're able to sympathize, emotion, and reason, do all these great things. Right. But the thing is, well, I guess that's a religious belief, though.
Well, that's an interesting question.
I think that consciousness is the soul,
and that's where why if you don't believe in God, it's easy to go want to murder a bunch of people. And I'm not criticizing you. It goes back to just a common theme here. If you believe in God, every human being has dignity.
Well, you're kind of intuition pumping there about saying if it's murder, because we haven't really discussed, we haven't even agreed on whether the zygote is of course, if it's a human being and the elimination of human life is murder. But that's fine. We're just, this is why it's very hard to change people that don't believe in God to be pro-life, because you don't necessarily believe that human life is necessarily special. No, I mean I do.
But you might
believe
think it's
human
like
life is very
unique and it's
special,
like
right?
interesting.
It is
but
unique
you
experience,
don't
right?
believe it's made in the image of a creator.
Okay, yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
fine. And that's why we tend to be the pro-life champions,
Mm-hmm.
and those that don't believe in God don't. And that's okay.
Okay.
It's just that clarity is important for the audience.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going back and forth. I'm sure you got a whole on, and we'll
It's
give it
fine.
some more
No,
people.
you-
But I do.
you've been great.
I do want to have a good question with you. A question about that I want to leave off on is. So it seems like I think you're pretty set in stone in this position, and I would like to ask, what would I have to do or prove to show you in order to convince you that pro-life isn't the answer that society should be seeking for?
I mean, it would be an impossibility. You have to prove to me God doesn't exist.
Okay, so then we can agree that like this is just a moral issue that you're appealing to a book.
Of course. I
and-
mean, all
okay.
moral issues appeal to an authority, obviously.
Okay.
Why is murder wrong?
I mean, because the reason, if you want to talk about morality, we can talk about morality too.
Abortion is a moral issue. Of course it is.
Yeah.
But
the reason why
our
I
whole
think-
conversation
I
is laced
think-
with morality.
But in order to kind of like reduct it to like a textbook or a book or a specific like
Well,
thing, ascribe
why?
of
Where do you
truth,
get your
but-
morality from?
Well, I think morality should be based on like what is the best choice of action to help society progress.
Okay,
If that makes any sense.
okay, got it. What
Right.
if society agrees we should kill the dumb people?
Well, probably not the best.
Well, but why?
Well, the thing is, like, it's
Or
just
how
not-
about
well, the
this?
thing is,
We should abort-
pragmatically that doesn't work out. Because
Yes,
if we
it does.
kill
In,
the dog,
Iceland, it's mandatory to abort Down syndrome babies.
Okay.
It's it's best, right? Down syndrome people are a strain on society. Why do you say it's wrong?
I mean, because there's some degree of like we should protect some people.
Why? By what standard? Why are you appealing to? I appeal to a book. What do you appeal
The thing
to?
is, I think like there's still some value to
Why?
people
What
to
standard?
that
Is
have,
that your
like-
opinion, or is there something
No,
transcendent telling you that?
No, there's something transcendent because like there is some sacredity to life, and that's what I agree with. I agree that life
Why?
is sacred. That's why I would agree that if you adopted a more broader pro-life stance, I think I would be more on side of that. Like if you want to have a society where we're forcing women to breed and pump out children, then I would say you would have to create that society where like it is more able for them to do that, and in addition to not be indiscriminate between life. So I think I would
Got
agree
it.
with that sentiment, right?
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
sorry, yeah.
Thank
can I
you.
get a hat?
Yeah, I'll give you a hat. Thank you.
Hey. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Can you sign it? Can you sign it? Yeah. Thanks, I appreciate you.
Charlie, can I please get a white hat?